What? B-roll, stock footage, poor man's video, or the everyman's video. Whatever you call it, stock footage will almost always find its way into your video. It's quick to add, it can add to the production quality, and it can be the shots that you need to really add the oomph to your story. But using stock footage can also be tricky sometimes. It can look, well, too stocky. From awkward people smiling, looking into the camera, bad shots, and of course, people have no idea what they're doing. So, here's a very short masterclass on how to choose the best stock footage for any video you happen to be making. The key things that you should think about when looking at stock footage are motion, resolution, color, shot type, and drone shots. File sizes are either 4K or HD, and both resolutions have their advantages and disadvantages. 4K files, for instance, are bigger, but they're sharper, and they give you those additional options to add zooms, pans, dollies, or a couple of cuts out of one piece of footage, and whatever else you can think of, really. A good example is this shot of a landscape. Okay, so it's 4K, so it allows us to zoom in to 200% losslessly, and now we can turn this still landscape shot into a very nice panning shot. Another great example is this shot of a couple counting money. If you have a subject in your video and they're talking about not having enough money to pay back the bank or whatever, but you never got any shots like this one on set, then this is where 4K is super handy. Just set the scale to 200%, focus in on their hands, and nobody can tell if the shot isn't your subject. Now, the other option is HD footage. I would say this is the resolution I use and download 90% of the time, and the reason is quite simple. File size. Trust me, when you make as many videos as we do, you want your file sizes to be as small as possible whenever you can. Especially when you end up pulling 5 times the amount of stock clips that you actually end up using. It's just part of the game. Plus, if you do want to add some zooms or motion later, you can always re-download the file as a 4K version. Or be lazy like me and don't worry about the slight loss of quality. All right. Movement. A little motion in whatever you're pulling adds a ton to the flow and making it look less stocky than those still shots. I usually try to download shots with at least some motion in them, whether it be a full pan or just a subtle shake to make it look more authentic. Nothing gives away stock more than the lifeless, posed studio mock encounters that plague most stock websites, especially when it's intercut with lively, authentic footage that most of us are filming for our video. Motion is also great for clean, seamless editing in sequence, as opposed to a bunch of still shots lined up. Color. Okay, so no matter what, when you're using stock footage, you're probably gonna have to try to color match them. Shots with dramatically different colors or lighting aren't gonna blend very well. They aren't gonna look real. But most of the time you can color match them well enough. The shots to look out for when choosing stock footage, however, the ones that look overly saturated or color graded. These ones tend to be harder to match, as they already have a bunch of effects applied to them, and they're compressed, reducing the color data. So better yet, focus on shot types that look and feel like your other footage that you're already working with. This might be things like mostly daytime shots, or mostly nighttime, shots that are all mostly outdoors, or all in the same season. Color isn't just about saturation, it's also the footage itself, the balance of elements in the frame. Are we looking at mostly tungsten lights, mostly bright sunlight, lots of shots of the city, or is it mostly out in a green, grassy field? All right, shot type. One of the great things about stock footage is that most of the shots are part of a greater sequence of shots. Most people who shoot stock footage package it together and sell it as one group. That means if you find a shot that you like, there's more than likely other variants of it as well. This is great for editing them together because they have the same subject, they have the same color, space, and the same camera setting. So think about it. If you're out shooting real B-roll of a location, you don't get just like one shot and then go to a completely different place. You get a bunch of stuff in that area, and then you find what works best in post. At least that's probably what you should be doing. Just be careful with using too much of the same stock footage packages, as it can come out looking like just a stock footage montage. The goal is to tell a story of a place, not repeat roughly the same shot over and over again. All right, let's talk about drone shots. These are one of the most useful and versatile tools to have in your arsenal of stock footage. If you want to make your video feel more cinematic, as well as have a higher production value, then throw in some drone shots. Sure, I mean, you could buy a drone, you could learn how to fly it, you could get arrested for flying in an illegal airspace without your knowledge, or you can just use stock footage of a drone shot. Because, let's face it, you don't need to own your own drone. How many drone shots are you going to use in your video? 2? Maybe? For the most part, there's more than likely already the exact shot that you're thinking of, whether it be mountains, cityscapes, or air pollution. When looking at drone shots, try to find ones that aren't too compressed and don't have any jerky motions in them. And even though I promise it's gonna look amazing, don't sit on it too long in the edit. Leave the audience wanting more. Okay, hopefully that helps for the next time you have to deal with stock footage. Seriously, we have built dozens of entire videos out of just stock clips, so don't underestimate the power of stock. And as always, subscribe, slap that bell, and join us next time for more tips and tricks. And as always, thank you for watching.